I'm Jalen Sale,
And I'm Reagan Rittenhouse.
and we were very excited that you all are here and hope you enjoy our presentation. Congratulations! Today is the day. You're off to great places. You're off and away.
You have brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You know what you know, and you're the guy that's going to decide where to go.
Oh, the places you'll go. L2k is quite a journey, and we are so excited that you all are about to embark on this amazing journey. So tonight we want to talk about what your freshman year will look like and what that part of the journey will be like. And then we're going to talk about the community of L2k and what our experiences have been in the community of L2k within Legacy and outside of Legacy. And then lastly, we're going to leave off with some helpful hints and tips to kind of get you through that first year and hopefully get you through your entire journey of L2k.
So, who's excited for freshman year? Good job, guys. So, the big thing that everybody hears about freshman year is logs. And logs are these big research papers that seem scary. They have the title log, which just makes them sound even more terrifying. But logs are basically just research papers, and there's no prompt to them. You get to research whatever you're interested in. And so something that I would really drive to you guys is to start thinking about what you're interested in. For me, I'm interested in medicine, so a lot of my logs revolved around the medical field because I didn't want to write about physics or calculus or other things. But I also want you guys to think outside the STEM basis. So I had a friend write a log about all those sappy romance shows you watch on Netflix and why your brain likes those and the dopamine that releases in your brain. So there's so many different directions you can go within logs. And so I want you guys to really make sure that you're experiencing all of it and don't pinhole yourself into one little topic. Make it easier for yourself to write logs by writing about something you're interested in. So this summer, you're going to be so excited for freshman year. You're done with 8th grade, and we enter the waiting place, is what we're going to call it. So that summer, you're waiting for all the good things to happen. You're excited for high school, new friendships, sports, clubs, all these AP classes, things like this, L2k. But the waiting place is somewhere where I want you guys to start thinking ahead. Start thinking about things you're interested in. Start thinking about reaching out to people like we just did. Making those small little connections is going to make your high school experience so much easier. And I don't want you guys to come in being scared and timid. I want you to be yourself. It's so much easier to make friends. Because when I came into freshman year, I was timid, I was shy, I did not want to talk to anybody, I had my headphones in all the time, and that made it a really lonely experience for the first year. So I want you guys to make sure that you're reaching out to each other. I know it's awkward. I know it's awkward to start that relationship, start texting people, reaching out if you don't know them, but it's going to make a really big difference in the long term.
Another really big part of freshman L2k is speeches. And contrary to popular belief, these are actually one of the most important parts of freshman L2k, and they're one of the most fun parts, in my opinion, because you can start off not doing great. Speeches are really hard to do in front of a large group of people, even just a small classroom of people. But by the end of your freshman year, you'll see such a dramatic improvement that you'll be like, oh my gosh, I never thought this was possible. So it's really rewarding to get through those speeches your freshman year. And they're also really cool because you get to experience and you get to deep dive into things you're super interested in. The only limitations are the time you have to talk with it. So for one of my speeches, it was 5 to 7 minutes. I talked about why dogs can't eat chocolate, and I talked about that for 5 to 7 minutes. And it was so much fun because it was something I was actually interested in, and it pertained to my real life because my dog ate a bunch of chocolate, and I was concerned for him. So I talked about it, and it was really, really cool to research and learn a lot about. But I am sorry to say that it is true. You're going to probably mess up your first couple speeches, and you're not going to do as great as you imagined you would. But that's part of L2k, is learning from those problems and learning from those mistakes, and eventually getting over them and becoming so much more successful. And that's why speeches are so amazing, is because you start off not doing great, and by the very end of your freshman year, you'll be doing amazing, and you'll be talking for a long amount of time and about things you never thought you could do.
So who in here has a sibling that's gone through the L2k program? You've heard about all these projects, right, that are insane your freshman year, that are going to take weeks and weeks on end, overnighters, working on homework. And I'm here to tell you that the projects were actually my favorite part of freshman year. So my two favorite projects were the time management project, where we monitored the time we spent in a week. And in 15-minute intervals, you basically wrote down what you were doing. So like if I was sleeping or traveling, driving to school, I was at the doctor, I was at school, on my phone, eating, all that kind of stuff, and you logged it in a big spreadsheet, and before you even start the project, you're going to guesstimate how much time you spend on your phone, and how much time you spend sleeping, and how much time you spend eating. And then after the project, you're going to write a big paper on it, and you're going to basically do an analysis of how long you spent doing all these things, and compare the actual times versus the guesstimate. Most people find that they're not sleeping enough, they spend way too much time on their phone, and that phone time is during homework time or school time, which is going to impact how much homework you have, how you're going to be able to do extracurricular activities such as sports and things like that. So these ideas and projects are great for learning time management. My other favorite project was the College City project. And I know you guys are freshmen, or going to be freshmen, and you think college is 4 years away, and that's a long time, but time actually flies in high school. And so that project focuses on you researching 3 different colleges. And you're going to pick one in-state, one dream school, and then one other school. So I picked Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and University of Hawaii. And 2 of those colleges are the ones that I delved deeper in and researched all the financial nitty-gritty information that you don't even think about when you think about a college. So when everybody comes in freshman year and is like, I'm going to go to Harvard, realistically, it's not always the best option. I'm not saying it's not the option for everybody, but having a 4.5 GPA, 8 different extracurricular activities, and funding all that college experience is slightly more complicated than you would think. So that project really brought to me the emphasis of like looking farther into my future and going somewhere that's going to make me happy rather than have a great title to it.
So that kind of brings us into talking about the community you will have within L2k. And one of the biggest parts of L2k is your job shadow and your career practicum, which are your junior and senior years. And I know those are a long time away, but they're honestly one of the most important parts of L2k because it's where you start building your network and start talking to actual professionals. So I did my job shadow junior year with the National Center for Atmospheric Research at their research aviation facility. And in that experience, I got to work with pilots and engineers and scientists, and I got to see a bunch of different sides of how professionals work together to do a project. And it was really cool because the projects they would do were basically research and design, and that's exactly what I had done my sophomore year. And so it was really cool to see like how the real world and how real professionals actually like take L2k and put it into the real world. And honestly, this experience was so important to me because I now want to go into something related to aviation and aerospace, and this experience taught me that. And then taking from my job shadow my junior year, I really liked the atmospheric research side of it, so I decided to do my career practicum at 9 News with a meteorologist. And I learned from this that I do not want to be on TV, I don't want to be in public, I'm a little more introverted. So this was more of an experience to show me what I'm not interested in, but it was still really cool to see that there are careers out there that aren't for me, and I got to learn that. But I also got to learn that I like the research side of things, and I like to understand why the weather is doing something rather than here's the weather. So that's what I got to learn, and all the connections I made during these experiences, I got to add on LinkedIn, and I'm still in contact with. And at some point, I'd love to be able to go back and work for NCAR sometime down the future.
So for my job shadow, I worked with Vista Animal Hospital because I thought that veterinary medicine was where it was at. I thought that that was so cool, helping people with their pets. Owning my own practice seemed like a really cool thing at that time. And during that experience, I followed around 4 different doctors that worked there, specifically focusing on the owner of the practice. And I realized that I did not want to be an owner of my own practice. There's a lot of financial stuff, a lot of paperwork, lawsuits, things like that that go through, and I did not want to have to deal with that. I wanted to do all the medical side. I also realized that my heart could not take watching animals pass away and dealing with people and having to put dogs down and animals down and stuff like that. So I learned that veterinary medicine was not for me. However, I did learn that emergency medicine is for me. So for my senior year career practicum, I did over 50 hours with Brighton Fire Department. And through that experience, I learned so much. I learned that I am an absolute adrenaline junkie. I loved that rush you get when you're on a scene and you're in control. It's great. I also really liked the medical side of it. And right now I'm actually in EMT training through our Career and Technical Education School, which is something you guys should look into as you go through your high school career. But that connection has allowed me, they offered me a job for when I get my EMT license. I am continuously working with them. I get to learn so much, and I get to put all the skills I'm learning in school into use, which is a really great thing. And that was the emergency medicine is what I'm passionate about. So I'm going to continue down that path in the future. But finding something that you're passionate about, that 50 hours was a breeze. That was 4 days for me. I stayed there. I did not want to leave. And I keep coming back. So it's less of a dread and more something that you're grateful for and very thankful for. And it builds those connections outside of L2k that are going to help you in your career and your future. So, yes. Within our community, L2k is a small group of kids, less than 100 kids. And even though that may seem like a lot, 3 classes is not that many, and as you go through the program gets even smaller and smaller. So we have 2 senior classes, and basically by that time I know everybody in L2k. And as we talked about earlier, all those kids in your classes are going to start to reappear, and all your AP classes and all your normal classes are going to start to be full of L2k kids, because you guys are interested in the same things. You want to be pushed, you want to be challenged academically. So within L2k, I have made some of my best friends, one of which is standing up here with me right now, and we have done some amazing things. This top picture up here is us freshman year, and this is what you guys are going to be like. And I would not mess around this much in class because we were not very productive. But you can see 4 of my friends sitting on each other in class, and then the look of disappointment on Miss Donovan's face, my freshman L2k teacher. So I would make it a goal not to disappoint your teacher like that, but still have that right balance of fun and activities outside of there. And L2k is a class. It's basically like a social hour where we help each other with calculus, we help each other with this, we help each other prep for speeches and tests and study, and it's a really great community that I don't think I could have made it through high school without.
Kind of going off of that, it's also the class that we planned a trip to the sand dunes in. This past summer, me and Reagan and a group of our friends went down to the sand dunes, and we planned that in L2k. So we weren't necessarily using our time productively, but we were building our friendships and building our relationships. And as you look through the rest of the pictures, it's just what our experience has been like and the friends we have made. And it's overall one of the best group of people you'll meet. As you go through your years, your classes will start to become just L2k Part 2. Most of my classes now have the same kids that are in my L2k class because we all have the same interests. We're all doing the same classes. And for me, I couldn't get enough of L2k, so I had L2k 4th period this year, and then I would go to my friend's 8th period class as well, just to hang out with them. So you really get to make some really great connections, and you're probably sitting next to some of your best friends right now, and you probably just got your best friend's phone number. So I would definitely reach out to those people because those connections are amazing. So now we kind of want to leave you guys with some helpful hints and tips. Procrastination is one of the biggest words you hear in L2k. Everyone will tell you, don't procrastinate, and despite how much you try and fight your urges, you will procrastinate. And we want to kind of tell you that time is on your side. You will always be given enough time to do a project. Whether or not you use the time you're given, that's up to you. I would like to tell you to use 10 to 30 minutes a day dedicated to L2k sometime throughout your day. Even if it's in English and you're like, I already finished my English essay, let's run through my speech one more time, or let's do a little bit of extra research from our log. Just dedicating a little bit of time each day is super, super helpful. And if you can use your time in L2k, that's great. If you need to go home and use your time, that's also great. Just procrastinating, it will happen, and you'll be 11:59 turning in your log when you wanted to have it done at 3:30, but you just have to deal with it, and you have to overcome that challenge. And really, it's been super helpful for me to kind of learn how to successfully procrastinate and how to avoid procrastinating, because now I can go to my English class and I can write an essay in a couple hours because L2k taught me how to write quickly and how to write effectively. So don't procrastinate. Dedicate some time each day to L2k.
So I'm going to talk about the slump. Right now, you're new and fresh to high school. You're so excited to be here. But around junior and senior year, when you're starting to think about your future and you don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to do, you hit this little period where you lose all motivation. All of that stuff you've learned freshman and sophomore year, hey, I haven't had to write an all-nighter log, blah, 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 has gone out the window. And you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know what to do. So my biggest thing with this slump is finding things you're passionate about and writing about them. Looking forward to things, and what we did in L2k is we would take half of my L2k time and I would work on some work, whether it was L2k oriented or not, but it kept me motivated and it started me on that process of starting my logs, of starting my speeches, because that's the hardest part in this slump phase, where you're going to be there and you're like, I have so much to do, I have an 11-page paper due, I have this, I have physics homework, I have calculus homework, I have all this stuff, and I don't have enough time. The biggest step is to just start and take that step forward. Start with your introduction. Be like, hey, I'm going to sit down and write for 30 minutes. Or hey, I'm going to focus and watch this review video for 15 minutes. And that is going to switch your brain and you're going to be like, oh, this is reasonable. So it's this idea of not snowballing, not building up all these ideas and getting anxious and overwhelming yourself. I would also say not to overwhelm yourself junior year. As many of you probably know, junior year is your hardest year. And to make sure you save time for you. Make sure you're not sleeping 4 hours a night, making sure that you are eating properly and that you are spending time with friends and not just solely stuck on schoolwork.
And then teamwork is a big, big part of L2k. Freshman year, you do a couple group projects, and then sophomore year, they nail in the group work. And I want to remind you all to be a good teammate. I really struggled working with teams because I'm the type of person that it's like, it was assigned 2 hours ago, it should be done. And a lot of people aren't that way. A lot of people want to wait 2 hours before it's due. And that would really stress me out. And we were also online COVID, so that also stressed me out. But you have to remember that everyone has their own way of thinking, everyone has their own way of working, and you have to work together as a team because you're ultimately all working towards one common goal. And you all want to succeed in L2k, and you all want to have fun doing the project. One of my favorite projects freshman year, it was a design project, and we made a ski jacket that was like ultra warm, but then could also like cool off if it got too warm outside. And I didn't know anything about it, but 2 of my group mates were super passionate about it, and I just worked on their timeline because it was a project they were super passionate about. And I didn't stress out when we weren't done 2 hours after it was assigned. And it was also a really great experience for me to learn like how to calm down and how to not stress out if it's not done right away. And just, I want to remind you guys to be a good teammate, understand where your friends and classmates are coming from, and you're all trying to work towards an ultimate goal.
So perfectionism was something that I really, really struggled with coming into L2k. I had straight A's, I was the person to get things done within the hour it was assigned. I wanted everything to be straight and perfect on my slideshows, and realizing that that's not how all people's brains work. Some people are type A, and some people are type B, and some people are type C. And within all those different types of personalities, you guys are going to have to figure out how to work together. And whether it is one person is going to straighten all the pictures on the slideshow and make sure everything looks right, while one person focuses on adding all the information to the slideshow. But perfectionism is not what you want in L2k. It's all about that trial and error. It's okay to fail. It is totally fine to fail. And I want to get that through your guys' heads that maybe you're not going to get straight A's. Maybe you come in with this expectation to get straight A's. I definitely did, and then I took AP Physics, and that crashed that dream, smushed it into the ground, and I did not get an A in that class, but that was a huge realization to me that sometimes getting that A is not what matters. It's the work that you're going to put into that grade. It's the how much time are you going to spend? Are you going to ask for help? That's a really big step. And realizing that maybe things aren't going to be perfect, but you have to adapt and overcome and continue to push forward. So for my future, I am committed to the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and I'm going to study nursing, and my end career goal is to be a Flight for Life nurse for a couple of years, and then maybe travel nurse, but I want to become a nurse practitioner.
And then I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but right now the plan is to either go to the Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut or Montana State up in Bozeman, Montana, and I want to study aerospace engineering or naval architecture and marine engineering. I will say that one of my biggest fears is boats, but for some reason I want to join the Coast Guard, so that'll be super interesting for me. And I ultimately want to become a pilot, and L2k really showed me this because of my junior year job shadow, like I mentioned earlier. I really like planes, I really like flying, and the Coast Guard actually does have helicopters, so don't worry, I won't be too close to the boats. So you may be asking yourself, will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.25% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains.
So, be your name Braxton or Brady or Malachi, Ali, O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day, so get on your way.
Thank you all so much. We're so glad you guys are joining L2k. Feel free to ask us any questions. We'll stick around after, and our emails are up on the board, so you can email us at any time. We'd love to talk about legacy, L2k, your current projects. Thank you guys so much.